And we are live here on Twitch. I'm hoping everyone here is having a good day. My name is Riley North over here along with my co-host Kirby Stansel. How are we doing here, Kirby?
I'm doing fantastic. How are you doing, Riley? It's a great Thursday. Got some NFL football today. It's going to be awesome.
Yep. I'm excited to do this. It's kind of a new little format we're trying to work here. So if some things aren't working out properly, sorry. This is a brand new thing. I might try. I see cameras kind of blocking who we might be pulling here first on the quarterbacks list. So I'm going to go ahead and flip that on over. But that should be good. So what we're doing here today is we are going to be doing some rankings of quarterbacks from this season. Kirby, I think you already have your list written out, correct?
Yeah, I have my list written out, but I'm willing to flex it, just help along anything. And, I'm able to watch the chat, see what they're doing. That's fun.
Mm-hmm.
Aaron is a little bit disappointed by the format, but, it's just how it's going to go.
This is
just how it's going to be.
This is just something we're testing. We're going to try it out, see how it goes. We're going to be back to doing the rapid reacts after Sunday night games, and obviously our pick'ems going into next week. But we definitely wanted to try something new. This is something new, so I'm excited to try it.
All right, well, let's go ahead and jump right into it. First quarterback, Josh Allen. Now you're going to think that I'm just going to put him in the S tier. Obviously, I really want to. I'm not, because I hold myself to standards. I hold myself to that, and I'm going to put Josh Allen in the B tier.
Really?
What do you think
this
about
season?
B tier.
B tier. Yeah. It's kind of tough for me right here. Josh Allen, I'm not a big fan of his, but understandably he's had a good season relative to his past. I think B tier is probably fair. I think if you really wanted to, you could probably argue him into A, but I'm not there yet. I think B tier is plenty fine for me for this season. I think he firmly fits in there, and I think we're relatively agree on this one. It's is it actually lagging in chat?
Yeah, Riley, this might be lagging a little bit.
Right.
Do we know that?
I don't know how to fix that off the top of my head. I can look into it. I can go ahead on his own ass Wi-Fi.
I don't know if it's actually lagging. I can't tell.
I can't tell. I'm gonna turn on the
volume.
volume.
I really can't tell. Myself to that, and I'm going to.
I'm turning on the volume. Just try to listen to see if it's true or not. No joke. Okay. I'm gonna go ahead and roll with you guys. Not trolling.
I'm listening to it on my phone right now, just as a preventive measure, and I don't hear anything.
Yep. So.
I don't hear anything wrong.
You don't hear anything wrong. Let's.
No, I don't hear anything wrong.
We're experiencing some technical difficulties. It's. I am hosting the stream. I am currently. It says in Streamlabs that we are dropping frames right now.
So, Mark's saying that's better.
I don't know. No, stop streaming from McDonald's. I'm streaming from my house. It's better now. Okay, let's go right back into it. Like I said, this is something new we're testing here. I'm not sure how well it's going to work, but we're just going to kind of just ride it out. So next on the list is Brady. What you got for Brady here?
Now, is this for the 2020 season or in general? Because if not, then that changes a lot.
It's just the 2020 season.
Okay. All right. Well, then in that case, that changes a lot of stuff. I'm going to go with – so you take a look at the stats, and you're like – Brady, he has one of the best wide receivers. You don't have to take a look at the stats for this, but he has one of the best receiving cores in the NFL. Yet he only ranks 14th in QBR, which like that's not the end all be all. But his passing yards, he only ranks top 10, or he only ranks 10th. Touchdowns are relatively high. He has a great offensive line behind him. I'm going to put him in the C tier. I'm not going to put him in D, but he hasn't come up big in the games. He just hasn't. Whenever they need him to. What do you think about it?
Yeah, I'm borderline D tier. Um, he's really had a piss poor season, and with all these weapons, his line's actually pretty decent. I mean, he has a running game. He's basically everything you can ask for, but he's just missing his throws. Let's not sugarcoat it any other way. He's really missing a lot of his throws this season. Not been on point very much. I'm not 100% sure if I can even verifiably put him into the CT and feel good about it. He's probably D tier for me. He's just been that kind of poor. We'll put him in C,
No.
C for now, but it's pretty
If
close
C
between C and
starts to
D.
get a little crowded, then yes, I would agree. But I I disagree with you. I think he's just fine where he is in the C tier.
I respectfully disagree with that one. Sorry, I'm trying to look back and forth between chat and kind of the screen, see if we're still freezing a lot or not. I'm hoping it's going to clear up a little bit here as we continue on. I think my mom is upstairs. Admitting I'm at my mom's house right now. I think she's also streaming in right now with someone. But let's continue on with Drew Brees. Now, I'll start with this one. He is currently hurt. So I'm going to judge him on the first few games we saw. Really, there's not a whole lot of special here. I think his arm talent is all but gone. He can't throw the ball further than 15 yards down the field. It's not like, I guess not much has really changed since he only throws really slants now. For me, he's probably C tier, borderline D tier. I put him a little bit above Brady in the C tier, so I'm more firm in the C tier. But what about you?
See, I'm the exact opposite. I think I'd put him a little bit below Brady. And then, like, you saw how he did without Michael Thomas this past year. It's been atrocious. It's been awful. Uh, I I wasn't a fan of his like all season. He was a liability in fantasy. Um, his production just dipped off entirely. If you take a look at the QBR, he does rank extremely high though, which is why I'm willing to flex on him. He ranks third in the NFL in QBR, but that's just because he throws short passes the whole time. It's easy to beef up your stats whenever you're doing that.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, his interceptions were still like relatively low. He wasn't making dumb mistakes. I'll put him in the C tier, just as a flex, but it's really weird to start off the list and say Tom Brady and Drew Brees have had worse seasons than Josh Allen. It feels weird.
It does feel
But
weird.
yeah, I
but
completely agree with you.
it's really he just can't throw the ball down the field. He can't push the envelope, and it hurts the offense as a whole. I'm not saying Hill's any better. We're going to get to Hill in a little bit, but he's definitely struggled a lot more this season than he has in the past. So next up on the
Yeah.
list is actually another hot topic button. We got Terry Bridgewater,
Teddy.
Big Teddy.
Ooh.
I actually saw a statistic on him that kind of summarizes him as a player and his career. It was that he is like the second best at not allowing negative plays, but the third worst at creating positive plays. And that kind of summarizes what he is.
Yeah.
And so he's just the kind of guy that'll go in, not make any real mistakes, but only get you about 20 points a game, 17 to 21 points a game, and just hope your defense can hold. He's been okay this season.
Yeah, and he's really been helped out by the fact that he has like one of the better offensive coordinators in the league with Joe Brady. Obviously, he was missing Christian McCaffrey a lot of the season, but I thought they did a lot better without Christian McCaffrey
I wouldn't say
on
that,
offense.
but
At least versatility wise, because they would just feed the ball to Christian McCaffrey the whole time.
that is just
That's
wrong. I don't agree with that at all.
no, I enjoyed watching the Panthers offense a lot more without Christian McCaffrey than with him. Um, So I'm putting. Uh, I think I'll put Teddy Bridgewater D tier.
You put Teddy at D?
It's like the definition. Yeah, yeah. Who like we've got to put people D tier at some point.
Personally,
And
if I were the Saints and I had the option of having Drew Brees back or Teddy Bridgewater, I probably would go with Teddy Bridgewater.
no, 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 no.
I would.
Not now, not this season. No.
I mean,
I'm
there's nothing
I
holding him back. Why not?
Teddy Bridgewater is the definition of mediocrity. And he has he has a great offensive weapons around him. He has a great coach with him. I I don't know why you'd want to put him C tier with Brady and Breeze. I would still take Brady and Breeze every single day over Bridgewater. It's just a bad argument. It really just is.
I mean, we can agree to disagree, but he's firmly in the C tier for me. I'll put him in the D tier for this list, since we're kind of going off what you have written down. So we'll go off that. Next on the list, this list is a little odd. We have Jacoby Brissette. I'm not sure.
I'd be willing to put Jacoby Brissett, make the injured and irrelevant list, or make the injured list the injured and irrelevant.
Yeah. Okay.
Since we haven't seen a lot of Jacoby Brissett and he didn't even play. He would only come in for the big guns. So I'd just put him in the injured list, even though he's not injured.
Fair enough. Okay, so if there's, we'll discuss some players. Like for next is Burrow. I think Burrow is played enough. I know he's hurt right now, but I think he played enough.
Played more than half the season. That's
we can
enough.
rank him. All right, I'll let you kind of talk about Burrow first, and then I'll give you my thoughts.
Well, Joe Burrow's a real gray area because, if you take a look, even hold on, my internet is loading. Okay. Joe Burrow was still ranks top 10 in most sacked quarterbacks, and he's only played like 9.5 games or 9.25 of games, compared to 12 and 13 of the rest of the league. It's an extreme gray area for Burrow. Because I liked what I saw. He worked well with T. Higgins and Adrian, and Tyler Boyd, but the Bengals just they didn't have enough results to, their offense wasn't setting the world on fire, and they have a great offensive coach with Zach Taylor. So I would put Burrow D tier at this point. I think I would. What I see you shaking your head. What's the deal? What do you think?
Here, I'm gonna put him where I think he is, where I know he is. I'd put him in the B tier. I really would. I think Josh Allen, you probably could argue he's A. For the sake of argument, we'll put him at A right here.
I think we should argue that I thought whenever we entered into this that it was going to be overall, but now now that I know that it's this season, let's move him into A.
All right, he's in the A. I think you could firmly argue him in the A as we kind of see this kind of formulate. Burrow is in the B tier, and I don't think it's particularly close. I think his offensive line and run game really let him down, but when he got going pretty good. I think, honestly, I think that Tampa Bay would have more success trotting out a healthy Burrow than they would Brady. Maybe not postseason success, but on a regular season success basis,
Yikes.
I think Burrow would have more success. I think in that offense especially, he would be extremely, extremely efficient. Maybe one of the best rookie seasons we could have ever seen. Compared to Brady, whose arms just kind of fallen off, he's been real inaccurate. Burrow, he's been really solid when he was playing. He was really, really solid.
Yeah, it sucks because the most important thing that you need for a quarterback, above all else, is a great offensive line. That's what you really need. And Joe Burrow had the worst offensive line in the league. Maybe, yeah, definitely. And it was to no fault of his own that he would have mistakes. I don't know. You look at his stats and you're pretty impressed with him, to be honest. I I don't know.
We'll put him in the D
I
tier for now, since that, like I said, we're gonna put down on paper what you
Yeah.
have written down, since you've already kind of gone ahead and put out your thoughts. But I think he's firmly in B tier, firmly.
I actually have Burrow in the injured list just because I didn't know where to rank him at this point.
Okay, well we'll keep him on the
Um,
board for now, since he played half the season, and then we can just go ahead and move on to the next guy. And the next guy is Mr. Carr. So Mr. Carr had a good, average to good start of the season. I think that's pretty fair to say. But I don't know what's happened. He's really dropped off these past few weeks. So this might be recency bias, but he's probably in the D tier for me.
I think that's definitely recency bias. I'm gonna put he's the definition of average. It'll- I mean, he would consistently put up like 300. Like a prototypical Derek Carr stat line is 280 yards, 2 touchdowns, and 1 interception. And then maybe a fumble sprinkled in every now and then. But that's the prototypical Derek Carr stat line. I and like if you take a look at his game log, you can see like it rings pretty true. I would put him in the C tier because his play was really comparable to Brady and Breeze. I think it was it's a step above like what I thought Bridgewater would be because Derek Carr can at least wow you through his arm talent. I don't know what are you thinking?
I mean, like I said, I think he's firmly, maybe not firmly. I think he's in D, arguably C. But I mean, past few weeks we've seen him D. I don't know if it's the offensive scheme or what's kind of happened, but they've been kind of found out. There's not. I mean, he has weapons. There's no arguing he has weapons. I know some of his offensive linemen have been sick with COVID or whatnot, but that doesn't explain these past few weeks. I think he's probably D. But you said you had him in what, C, so we can put him up there for now. You said C, right?
Yeah, yeah. Well, uh, let's see
I don't.
next.
I really don't agree with the C tier. But next
Okay, if
is
you want to put him D tier, I feel like I'm running it, so put it in D tier.
you're
And
gonna,
then chat. Let us know. Let us know what you think. If you agree, disagree with us.
BK Rainey. Carr has a
Uh,
24-7 touchdown to interception ratio with the fifth highest QBR rating in this season. This is true, but he does have weapons. He does have weapons, and I think he's fallen short. He has a lot of issues with ball security, as in a lot of fumbles. He has a good line, good running back, and it's not really come to fruition these past weeks. But I think this next quarterback is going to be some very, very controversial take because we have, I believe, Nico T15 is watching. He's a big fan of ours, and we got Kirk Cousins here. So I'll let you kick this one off, talking about Kirk, and we can roll from there.
Clear D tier quarterback, or no? Actually, I'm gonna go with F tier here.
F?
I would not want Kirk Cousins to be my quarterback
There's no
because
way.
I'm going to leave. I'm going to leave unsatisfied every single time, every single season whenever Kirk Cousins is my quarterback. I do not like it one bit. I I'm not a fan. If you want to put him like the highest I would go like if is C tier, and I think you're thinking a little more irrationally there. His top is D tier.
I think his true ceiling, I don't think he is, but I think his true ceiling is B tier. When he's playing on, he's probably B tier kind of quarterback. This F tier take is god awful, like a steaming pile of shit awful. He is not one of the worst quarterbacks in the league. He is not. There's no arguing or debate about him being one of the worst quarterbacks in the league. Kirk Cousins is probably a C tier. Maybe I could argue a B tier. I might be able to soften you up to a B tier or the average listener. You're not going to listen to this, but he's probably B, C tier. Nothing special. He's not going to win you the big game, but he'll beat the Saints in the playoffs. That's about what he's good for. He'll beat the Saints in the playoffs.
If you want to put him B tier, go ahead and put him B tier. Go ahead.
Because there's definitely going to be more quarterbacks coming up that's F tier compared to Kirk fucking Cousins.
Yeah, there are. Yeah, I see a few.
Okay. So
Okay.
we can go on to the next one. Dak Prescott.
Dak Prescott did not play. I don't think he played enough games. I think you have to have played more than half the season. He only played 5 games, and one of them was an injury game. Just go ahead and put him in the injury or injured column.
Fair enough. Just for argument's sake, if Dak Prescott were to continue his stats from what he was on pace for up until this point, where would you have put him at?
I think he's a B, borderline A tier quarterback.
That's fair.
But he also has a great offense, good offensive line, top 10 running back, 3 great receivers. He has all the weapons around him. He's been built up for success.
Yeah.
I'd
probably agree. I'd probably put him in B. I might think about A. Like you said, a lot of great weapons. His defense did let him down a ton, but I mean, there's no denying he wasn't playing well. So we won't talk about it too much since he's not really done a whole lot, but we'll actually talk about a little bit more. I think he's played about 8 games at this point. Is Mr. Andy Dalton, the Red Rifle. So there's not a whole lot to like about him. Let's be honest. I'm probably firmly going to put him in the D or F tier. Honestly, I'm torn on which one I want. I probably put him in the F tier to start. You probably could argue.
I agree with you. I'd put him in the F tier.
There's just not much to like about him. Really, like you look at him in Cincinnati and he was decent, like averagely decent. But even with the Cowboys, like he's just like continually let everyone down. I don't know what it is about him. He's nothing spectacular about him. He's just meh.
Yeah. I mean, I don't really have much to say on Andy Dalton. I've really tuned out the Cowboys since they really became irrelevant. Moving on, Sam Darnold, F tier.
Looking at the chat. BK Randy says, "Holy shit, this list is stupid. They put Kirk in B tier. I'm out." I think you could argue he's B tier. BC, like I said, BC, you can only put him in one. So I just put him in one that was empty. All right. I think he's been better than Brady. I think he's been better than Breeze. But
we might end up moving him to B tier or to C tier whenever some other quarterbacks start moving in and the list starts to get a little crowded. So just hold your horses. This is a process.
This is very much
our first time. Okay. See, he's back in. Great negotiators. Negotiators.
All right. So next up is Sam Darnold.
F tier. F
tier.
I don't really care. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think. Does he have a job next season?
He has to. In my mind, I think his biggest proponent or like thing he's going to be able to sell in this offseason when he's a free agent is he's going to look around and he's going to tell people, look what Tannehill is now. I think that's his biggest thing. Tannehill kind of flourishing without Adam Gase. I think he's going to be able to use that point to kind of get himself a job, at least a backup job.
Yeah, I could see that. I mean,
but as of now,
Tannehill was actually like okay whenever he was. Tannehill was okay in college. I never thought Darnold was that good in college. Tannehill was okay in points in Miami.
Mm-hmm.
Darnold was. You've never like watched a real Darnold game and been like, or like a stretch of like 3 weeks and been like, wow, I'm satisfied. I am happy with how Sam Darnold is playing.
Yeah, and
there's never been a 3-week stretch where the New York Jets media has been like, yes, we're all in on Sam Darnold.
Yep, yeah, I agree, but objectively, it's just kind of tough to know what he really is without Adam Gase. I think he's going to have an option or an opportunity. He should have an opportunity next season to play without Adam Gase to kind of show what he really is. But for right now, he's played like an F tier this season. So we can go ahead and move on to
Yeah.
what might be.
Just a little quick break. Just a reminder: follow us if you're joining in and haven't been following us already. Just throwing in a little shameless plug before Fitz Magic.
Okay, so
All right.
Fitz Magic. I think we can rank both him and Tua. We're not going to get to Tua just yet, but I think they both played about 8 games. Well, Tua's probably hasn't, but Fitz definitely has.
Yeah, Tua will get there.
Okay, so what do you got for Fitz here?
Well, Fitzpatrick, it's weird because he never played himself out of a job. It was more just him or like Tua just taking over and him being better. So Fitzpatrick never like had the moment in time where we all thought that he was going to get or that he didn't need to play anymore.
Mm-hmm.
I'd put him in C tier. I was still like happy with how he played. I liked what he did, and if anything, he served as a great mentor for Tua, and that should count for something.
Yeah, I think you're probably right. C tier is probably what he is. He is a very good, very elite backup. That's what he is. He's probably best served as a backup. I mean, even as a starter, he's pretty serviceable. I think I'd probably take him as the Falcons backup if I had an option. So I agree with you. There's probably not much debate that he's a C tier. He's a C tier along with Tom Brady and Drew Brees.
Yeah.
Tells you what it is, right?
C tier starter, S tier backup. That's how he is.
Yeah. So we can move on. We probably don't need to talk about this next guy, Joe Flacco. I don't think he's played.
I think we do.
We don't.
I think
he's not played 8 games. I put him in the injured list, but you can go ahead and tell us what you believe he's supposed to be in.
I mean, I think he's at least a D tier, maybe C. It took him a little while. He had better games than Darnold had this season. They came really close in that night game against New England. He put up 262 yards, 3 touchdowns. Only had 1 interception with that atrocious Jets offense. And he put up 27 points, and then the game after, he put up 28 against the Chargers. So it's not like Joe Flacco had a bad season. Let's just go ahead and say that. It's not like he had a bad season. I bet if he played all 13 games up to this point, the Jets would have a win. But we'll put him in the injured list. Mike Glennon, injured list.
Take.
No, it's not.
Wait, not. What? Mike Glennon? Are you looking on next? Who's on the list? Is that not Nick Foles?
Oh yeah, that is Nick Foles.
They all kind of look alike.
It was kind of like grainy for me. Foles goes in the F tier.
F tier injured list, probably F tier.
I think no. I think he should go in the F tier because he didn't really get injured. He played his way out of a job.
I mean, he played his way. I guess Trubisky technically played his way out of a job, and then he played away.
Yeah, Trubisky played his way out of a job, and then it got so bad that Foles literally had to go and lose his job as well.
Fair enough. We'll put him in the F tier. Next on the list, I guess, because not much to talk about him. So next on the list is the Rams quarterback, Jared Goff. How do you see Goff?
I see Goff as an A tier, I think. He's just been like a pretty productive quarterback all season. And he hasn't really disappointed that much. The Rams are in a good playoff position. He does what he needs to with one of the best coaches in the league. What's that look on your face?
No, I agree. I think he's probably A, B tier. I'm a little torn on where I would put him at between the two for this season at least, because he's not been like super like spectacular by any stretch of the imagination, but he's been solid, very solid, above average. I don't. Where did you put him on your list?
I actually had him B tier like overall, but I'm gonna move him up to A because I feel like we shouldn't have. He's not the same as Kirk Cousins. Yeah. Now he could be flexed down to B once we get into other quarterbacks, But for right now, I'd put him in A. But he wasn't as good as Josh Allen. So that should say something.
Fair enough. Okay, so next on the list is Mr. Dwayne Haskins. I
Oh,
think
this is F tier.
F tier or injured. There's really not much debate about him. I'm not going to say he'll be lucky to have a job in the NFL in a couple years, but I have no idea what's going on there. Alex Smith is having all the success in the world right now with the Washington football team. I have no idea how he struggled as much as he did. I think this is a firm F. There's not really a whole lot of debate about it. I'm assuming you'd probably see it the same way.
Yeah. Well, let's just move on because I don't care about Dwayne Haskins at this point. He's going to be a backup quarterback or out of the league in 2 years. Justin Herbert, what do you think about that?
Probably a B for me. B. These past few weeks have been a little more rough, but he's still been just really solid. B A. You probably could argue A if you really wanted to, but I'd probably slot him in the B slot. What about you?
I would put him in the C slot. He still makes a little bit of he still makes the rookie errors, not compared to other quarterbacks, or other rookie quarterbacks. I think like C's probably is a top tier.
C.
Yeah, C's Justin Herbert. Yes, I feel like I'm not. What?
This is definitely a hot take from you. He's probably easily a B tier this season. He's been better than Brady or Breeze.
I mean, I'm going to pull up his game log right now, and I'll remember some of the games. I mean, yeah, he's been good fantasy wise, if that's what you want to base it off of. Okay, so he consistently puts up around 300 yards. I get that. And he gets sacked around 2 times every single game. He has 3 touchdowns, 3 to 2 touchdowns every game. Yeah.
I slotted him in the C since that's where you put him, and we've had some comments in chat about not having a proper distribution curve.
Look,
sorry about that, Aaron.
that's just how it's not going to be a normal distribution curve. I'm
the
sorry,
NFL.
but it's not. There's a reason why like quarterbacks it's the toughest position to play, like really in sports. That I don't get why we have to do that.
I agree, BK Randy. Kirby is definitely threatened by Herbert, kind of being relatively cloned of his dad, Josh Allen.
No,
Let's move
not
on to
at
the next
all.
one. Let's move on to the next one here. Probably another hot button. What is?
I'm surprised Taysom made it on this list, but
Me too. He's only played 3 games, so we can probably slot him on the injured list if you really want to. Injured slash not really played a whole lot enough games. For argument's sake,
I'd be good with putting him in the D tier.
you really want to put him in the D tier?
I mean, he's kind of like a gadget quarterback. You wouldn't put him in the F tier, and he's not good enough to belong in C. But I think he slides very nicely into D.
We'll keep that in mind. I put him on the injured list. He's only played 3 games. If he played 3 games, then we would need to put Dak on the list. So we'll keep him.
Okay.
Unless you want to put Dak up in the BA tier.
No.
Okay, we'll just move on from that one. Lamar Jackson, straight off of his poop game, where do you think he ranks on this list?
Ooh, I think this is gonna be might be a little bit controversial, but I'm gonna put him in B tier
B tier.
for sure. Yes, B tier.
This is the season only. This season only. B tier.
This season only. Yes, because he has had very disappointing games. It looks like he's kind of been stymied. You'll look at some games and you'll be like, wow, he looks a lot like Lamar Jackson in the playoffs, not Lamar Jackson in the regular season. Because playoff Lamar Jackson, it's just not even it. It's awful. Now I could be completely wrong in this but I think the playoffs coming up soon, it's really weighing on me in this decision because I know he's going to disappoint me here soon. So I'm just going to put him in the B tier. What do you think?
For this season, probably a B or A. I don't think he's been amazing by any stretch of the imagination compared to what he was last season. He's definitely fallen off, and there's probably a lot of reasons for that. I'd probably be okay putting him in the B tier right now. This last game, though, he played, he was great. He was definitely a S tier, but that's very recency bias, so I'm going to slot him in the B.
Yeah,
it's a weird world where we have Kirk Cousins and Lamar Jackson placed in the same tier. But remember, people, this is just this 2020 season. People are roasting
It makes it
you.
even worse that it's right above Brady and Breeze.
Right.
But people don't get that this is 2020 only. And like you watch the Breeze game and like everybody was roasting him on Twitter about like, oh my God, Breeze is so washed. And then you'll watch you'll watch a Brady game and he's throwing like 10-yard out routes that are barely making it to Mike Evans, and Mike Evans is just fighting over the ball. There's just you people need to watch the games. That's what you people need to do.
All right, well, let's move on to the next one. Jimmy G, I think he's played enough games to where we can rank him. Actually, I don't actually know if he has or not. Has he?
Jimmy G has played 6 games. It's going to be less than half of the games. I'd put him in the injured, but if we were to put him, he'd definitely belong in D tier.
B tier?
He falls. Yeah.
You say B as in boy or D as in dog?
No, D as in dog.
Okay. I was about to say, if you put him in B tier, I was about to be...
No.
Chat's giving you a hard time about saying you people.
They can deal with it.
Jimmy G probably is a D tier quarterback. His ceiling is probably C or B, but definitely this season D. But we'll put him on the injured list and get to Daniel Jones. I'm pretty sure he's played enough games at this point. He's probably a C or a D. If you put him at the C tier, I would have a hard time looking who's in C tier right now. I would not put him in the same tier as Mr. Herbert. But I definitely think Burrow's been better than him. So if we're putting him in the D tier, it's just weird. Is that where you have him as D?
I would actually put him in the F tier. I really don't enjoy watching Daniel Jones.
Right.
And I mean, I know they're all, like everybody surrounding him. It's all about situation whenever it comes to young rookie or younger quarterbacks. And Daniel Jones he has one of the worst situations around him. He's had one of the worst situations around him. He doesn't really have any weapons. He's gone through a new offensive coordinator as well after being surrounded by David Cutcliffe for 4 years at Duke. I'm putting him F tier just because he's just not that good. I don't know what else to say.
Okay, that's fair. There's not. I mean, I probably would have put him in the D tier personally, but I can see the argument for an F tier. I definitely think he's flashed a lot this season, a lot more than he has in the past. That's not to say he's been good, but he's definitely at least flashed. So I would definitely ride him with him next season as well. So if I'm the Giants, but let's move on to the next person. So Kyler Murray, how are we feeling about Kyler?
He's not good enough for A tier. It's definitely not good enough for A tier. But I could be talked into B tier because what
do you mean you could be talked into B tier? Where would you put him? If you don't think he's A tier,
I think he's B tier. I think he's B tier. I mean, just like
why did you have to insinuate that we had to talk you into putting him in the B tier? Were you thinking about putting him?
I don't know. I didn't know if you were like willing to put him at C tier.
No, I'm not willing to put him at C tier. I was thinking A or B. I was leaning A, but if you put him in B, I mean, following your rankings. Yeah, I mean, especially the first half of the season, he was great. He was super special. He has taken a little bit of a step back, but I mean, I think he's awesome.
I think it was more the novelty of DeAndre Hopkins, and he was able to use that to his advantage. I mean, we have to talk about that. Like he's been so good with DeAndre Hopkins. That has to count for something. Um,
I mean, I
and
probably
like
would have put him in
last season,
A,
he
but
wasn't nearly as good. But he's also gotten a better offensive line.
they're giving you a hard time.
Yeah, they are giving me a hard time. They can say whatever they want.
Okay, let's move on to the next one then. Let's. I definitely disagree with the B take. I think he's an A, but so next up on the list is someone we've been really hounding on recently, Mr. Drew Lock. He's probably for me a D tier. I don't know how much of an argument there is to that. I think he's the kind of quarterback who's shown a flat. He's at least flashed last week, so you got to ride probably with him.
That's what I was about to say. He shows enough flashes to where it warrants a D tier, because it's really between F and D. But he shows enough to where like I think it could be D tier. I'm not going to disagree with you there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like I mean, he has decent receiving core, nothing special, but it's decent. He puts up numbers, but then some of his throws are just awful, like god awful. Like, how is this man even on an NFL roster? But he shows flashes every once in a while to where you think he could be, a Pro Bowler. But for right now, he's a D tier, and we can move on. This next player, probably not much of a debate at all. I think we both can know where Patrick Mahomes is going to go.
S tier, no debate.
There's
no question.
There's no real debate about who's him being the S tier. He's probably could be the greatest, if not one of the greatest, if not the greatest quarterback in NFL history. So we don't really need to talk about him too much because there's not much we can say that hasn't already been said. Marcus Mariota, I don't even know if he's played this year, so I'm putting him in the injured list.
He hasn't. I don't even think he's coming for like a victory formation snap.
Yeah.
So let's move on next. Baker.
You want to take this one first? Oh, you want me to go first?
Yeah.
I'm torn. I think he's definitely above the average. He's probably a B quarterback who flashes A. Especially last week, he might even. I don't want to say he flashed S tier, but he definitely flashed A tier. So I'm fine putting him in the B tier. I really am. There's a lot to like about him. There's a lot to dislike about him. But this season has been easily the best of his career. I think before coming into this year, he was probably a C tier kind of quarterback, but he's definitely improved this year. And honestly, he's gotten better ever since OBJ got hurt. So I'm fine putting him in the B. What do you got?
I think he's kind of like a quarterback that I think he's more in the C tier, but this season and his team's success would warrant him in the B tier. I just don't think he's like I used to like I'm very high on Baker, but
very high on Baker, as you say, I would put him in the C tier.
Yeah, no. Like I really enjoy watching him. Like I have a lot of fun watching him. I've enjoyed watching him from Oklahoma. But just like take a look at his game log, and he has at least 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 100-yard throwing games, and they're not like 190. They're like 122, 132, 156. And it's not like he's setting the world on fire with rushing either. He's flashing B tier, but I think he's a C tier quarterback. You can keep him in the B tier, but I mean he has one of the best or one of the top 10 wide receivers in football, has 2 amazing running backs, a good offensive line, and a great head coach as well. But he's just not. I'm looking at the chat, and they're disagreeing with me, and I couldn't disagree with the chat more.
Of course, I mean you called them you people. I definitely would take back your take of he's got a great head coach. We really don't know what kind of head coach he is just yet.
Kevin Stefanski made Kirk Cousins look pretty serviceable.
It's way too early of a take to call him a great head coach. But B tier, that for sure. For me, I don't even know how you can even argue C tier. He's very solid. Next on the list is Garner Minshew.
He's looked really bad. I'd put him F tier.
Probably. I mean, he
I
lost
wouldn't
the
even put
job.
him D tier.
You probably could argue D tier, but I'm not going to argue with him. I don't think he's D tier. He'll probably have a long career in the NFL. I shouldn't say long. He'll have a decent career in the NFL as a backup, and that's not a bad thing. That's not being hurtful against him. He's a late round pick who made some runs. He's got a great mustache, but he's not much more than an F tier, D tier starting quarterback.
I feel like he'll be more of a practice squad guy because he's short enough to, like, he doesn't have the size to really make it as a long-standing backup quarterback, unfortunately, which stinks. But all right, Cam Newton, you go.
I'm not even going to debate about this one. He's horrible. He's literally bottom tier as you can get. Hot take. I'd be surprised if he's in the league next year. I really would.
Yeah.
Even like not just talking about a starting role, but like even as a backup, he's looked horrible. Horrible.
Yeah. It's like he's bordering into the unplayable. He's too big of a name to where you can't have him as a backup quarterback either. And he's really only starter bust at this point. I mean, it stinks, but that's what injuries will do to you. And whenever your game is predicated off of your athleticism and not your mind, that's what'll happen. So he's an F tier quarterback.
Yeah, not much to talk about with him. This guy might be a little bit of a debate here. I'm blanking. The Colts quarterback, Phillip Rivers.
Rivers.
Sorry. Yeah, I was blanking there for a second. Where do you got him?
I have Phillip Rivers in the D tier.
D? D is in dog?
Yes. Yeah, D is in dog. Where do you have him at?
I mean, I have him as a very, very, very solid C tier quarterback. I mean, you can't honestly think putting Phillip Rivers and Drew Lock in the same tier makes any sense at all. He is easily the C tier. Easily. I think that's his floor is a C tier. You might be able to argue B if you really, really wanted to. I probably wouldn't go that far, but there's no possible way he's a D tier quarterback.
I'm just like I'm not impressed with him at all. Like he I don't watch Colts games and I'm like, wow, this is because of Phillip Rivers. Okay, I can flex to C tier if you want, but I'm not. There's no way in hell I'm putting him at B tier.
I'm not putting him in B tier. I put him in the C tier because that was one of the worst takes I've seen.
No, I just put him one tier below. I don't know what the problem is. I'm not really impressed with him. I'd put him on Teddy Bridgewater's level because now I'm starting to get to the point where I start to compare him to the quarterbacks in each level. And like I'd probably prefer Derek Carr over Phillip Rivers. And I think Teddy Bridgewater is pretty comparable with Phillip Rivers. That's just me. I'm really out. I've really become out on Phillip Rivers. Next person, Aaron Rodgers, S tier.
You got him S tier?
Yeah, S tier. Any debate?
No, I'm not really going to debate this one. I think he is arguably a top 3 quarterback. Not even arguably. He is a top 3 quarterback.
No, not arguably. He is a top 3 quarterback. And I used to be a big Aaron Rodgers denier, to be honest. I still don't think he's what do they call him? He's not the GOAT, but he's the boat instead. That's what there's like an argument now. It's like he's not the best or he's not the greatest of all time, but he's the best of all time, which that's just a real dumb semantics argument. I mean, I think he's really making his way in like this season. I just want him to win a Super Bowl at this point or another Super Bowl because he needs more accolades on his career.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. Well, maybe not winning the Super Bowl. I really wouldn't care to see him win another Super Bowl. He's kind of a dickhead, but he's a great quarterback, a real great
Yeah,
quarterback.
yeah. You're right.
So I don't think there's a whole lot of debate about him being at next year. He's been great this season. I know people are talking about. Well, Aaron said he should be a freaking A. I think he's a little bit better than an A. S. I mean, you can't look at Goff and be like, yeah, I think Goff and Rodgers are on the same level of play. It's not true. So yeah, S tier is fine with me. Next on the list is Rosen. I'm not even sure why he's here. I don't even think he's in the league next year. Next one is Big Ben.
All right.
I don't know how you feel about this one. You say you disagree already?
I have a feeling we're going to disagree. I have a feeling.
You have a feeling. Okay, where do you got him?
I have him A tier.
A tier?
I think he's been really good, especially for his comeback season. I've really enjoyed watching Big Ben this season, and he makes everybody around him better. What are you thinking? Are you? Oh no.
No, it's not that bad. I think his stats are definitely inflated. Definitely 100% inflated. He's played a horrible.
The strength of schedule argument, is that what you're doing?
Yes. He's played some horrible teams. It's kind of patterned his stats. But it's not to take away he hasn't been good. I mean, he's made the throws, he's got the touchdowns. So, I think this season I'm fine putting him at A, but in reality he's probably closer to C than what he really is. Yeah. It's kind of weird that you have Big Ben as the highest rated quarterback in that division when there's so much success and accolades with quarterbacks in that division between now and in their college careers. Yeah, I think I think we got Nicholas in the chat now as well. He says Goff at A. LOL. I think Goff.
Well, maybe if he joined, he could have talked us out of it.
Yeah, we'll see. So I think A tier is probably correct. I think this kind of what this is looking like right now. This distribution is probably what you're going to be expecting, like a solid distribution.
Cream of the crop.
With
the best rises to the top.
Yeah, with the F tier looking like complete shit because there's a lot of shit quarterbacks in this league. Next one.
Yeah.
Matt Ryan.
What are you thinking?
Matt Ryan. Chat, I'm not realizing how ridiculous Goff is at A. You could argue it. I'm not gonna.
I think Goff at A is like
I'm really not
perfectly fine. I really don't. I really don't have a problem with Goff at A.
He's probably B, maybe C, probably B for me. Is what it is. But Matt Ryan, I'm gonna be honest. There's probably 3 quarterbacks in the C tier I would take over Matt Ryan right now.
Really?
There's probably a quarterback in the D tier I'd take over Matt Ryan right now.
What?
I mean, Burrow. I'd probably take Burrow over Matt Ryan. So I'd probably put him at the C tier. Maybe D tier, but I'd probably side with C tier.
Well, I completely disagree with you. I'd put him in the B tier for sure.
You put him in the B tier this season?
Yeah, I'd put him in the B tier.
I
mean,
like I'm a homer. I'm a Falcons homer, as we all know.
I don't think I'm being a homer in this.
This is a ridiculous
take. Really don't.
This season, how can we argue this season he's been a B tier quarterback? If you look at his career, yeah, he's probably a B or maybe even A, like low end A. But at B tier this season, he's been horrible.
He has Dirk Cutter now. This is all situational, but he has Dirk Cutter as his coordinator, who constantly puts him in awful situations, and he's really overcome it. Now, I get like he should be at the age where he should be controlling the coordinator more, but like I think he's a B tier quarterback. I really do. I don't. It's really controversial. I might be stuck in 2018. I think I might be. But you can put him at C. I'm not.
I'm gonna leave him up there at B right now because that's where you put him. I want chat to be able to look at this and realize how ridiculous of a take this is. Matt Ryan at the B tier.
No, it's not.
It is absolutely fucking ridiculous. So I can only imagine what you're going to do with Matthew Stafford next. So where do you have Stafford?
Let me see where I put him on my list.
Well, we can't move Goff out of the A tier. He's already been put there. We can't change it now.
Stafford's a C tier quarterback.
A C tier for you?
Yeah, C tier for me. What do you think for him?
I mean, I would have put him in the B tier over Matt Ryan. Like, if you had to put one between Matt Ryan and Matthew Stafford, I would definitely put Stafford in the B tier this season. But overall, he's definitely a C tier quarterback. He's the type of quarterback that will maybe get you 7-8 wins max. I really don't ever see him getting another double digit win season in his career. And that's not to say he's bad, because he's got a great arm. He's an arm talent, but he's just the team and the organization he's been around is just horrible. So definitely C tier.
Yeah, I mean, he's 7th in the league in yards, and I mean, the Lions are just awful in general. And I think if he had a better record, like, people would want him to be higher in the tiers. And that would also go for the same with Matt Ryan. If a few of his games swung a bit differently, everybody, like, if the Falcons were in the playoff push right now, if they didn't blow like 3 or 4 leads, they would. Matt Ryan at B tier would not be a conversation at all. I try not to go based off of the records, but whatever. Next quarterback. Is this Tannehill?
It is
yes,
Tannehill.
it is. You go.
Tannehill?
Yeah.
I think this is probably a very, very, very solid B tier quarterback. I think he might be a middle tier. If you were to look at all these quarterbacks in the B tier, he's probably falls somewhere in the middle. He's not going to wow you, but he'll definitely win some games that you wouldn't expect them to win. I mean, there's no denying his success he's had so far since he's been with Tennessee. So I put him in the B. What about you?
I put him in the B as well. I mean, there's not really much to say about it, to be honest. I'm just, he's like a very consistently good quarterback this season. He doesn't make a ton of mistakes, and he'll get you to where you need to go at this point. So I don't know. And he's good at handing the ball off to Derrick Henry, and he opens up the offense enough to where, if they do a play action, it actually works, because you have to respect the passing game with Tannehill.
So where'd you put him? You put him at B?
I put him at B.
I find it incredible that you find a way to put Tannehill at B along with Matt Ryan and Kirk. Well, I guess technically I put Kirk Cousins up there.
Technically you put
Kirk Cousins is a low tier B for me. High tier C, low tier B.
I actually had Kirk Cousins at D in my list, but
All right, so next on the list is Mitch Trubisky. Where do you got him?
This past week, I'm putting him D tier.
D tier, not even F. D tier.
Nope, D tier.
I mean that
low end D tier. He's not the same. Like, he is upper end F, lower end D. Before everybody jumps on me, because I know that it's going to come off as really bad.
It's not going to come off as really bad. I think D tier. I'm not saying that this is a good take. I'd put him in the F tier, but you're still putting him in at least the bottom half of the league. This is far better than your Goff A tier take, at least.
It's the same concept as what we did with Drew Lock. It's he has enough flashes of D tier to where it warrants to put him in. His first game of the season, he had 242 yards, 3 touchdowns. And then this past game, he wipes the Texans. 72% completion percentage, 267 yards, 3 touchdowns. it's enough to warrant the D tier. It's enough.
3 games is not enough to warrant a D tier, but I'll let you have this one.
It's flashes. It's flashes. That's the same logic that we use with Drew Lock. It's the same.
I mean, it's not, but let's go ahead and move on because I can tell there's no change in you on this point. It's a horrible point, but there's no change in you. To Tua Tagovailoa.
Well, if Fitzpatrick is in C tier, we have to put Tua in C tier as well.
I mean, I like for sake of the argument, yeah, he's probably played at a C tier. Probably maybe D. You could probably argue D tier. He's not been super special, but I think C tier is more than fine. It's not that I think he plays better than Fitzpatrick, and that's why he's starting. I think it's just they felt comfortable enough to kind of walk out the rookie. So I'm fine with putting him in the C tier for now. I think he's not played enough games to where it's a very solid ranking. I think it's going to be very fluid with him kind of for the rest of the season as we kind of see him progress. But I think C tier right now is completely fine.
Okay. Next, Deshaun Watson. You do it.
No,
go ahead and fire it off.
No, let's save my take for last because I think chat's not going to like mine too much.
Okay. I'm just going to be conservative here. I'm putting Deshaun Watson in the B tier because he had one of the worst situations in the league. I don't think he was good enough to warrant A tier. I think he's like a borderline A tier quarterback overall, in general. But he's this past season, it's just been really rough on him, and I'm putting him B. I know the chat's going. Yep, the chat is finally catching up. Not excited about it. Riley, just go ahead and fire off what you think.
So, my thoughts coming into the season. Mr. Deshaun Watson. I thought he was going to be great. I thought he was really, really going to be great. I know he had just lost one of his best weapon, easily his best weapon, but I still thought he was going to be great. Now, understandably, they've had some issues with coaching and all that. I think it's probably fair to not even consider him near the S tier. It's fair to consider him not being near the S tier, where you might have been able to argue it coming into the season. So for me, it's between the A and the C tier. He's definitely an upper half quarterback, but he's kind of fallen off a little bit. You probably could argue A for me. I know, blankly looking at stat sheets, he's probably an A tier quarterback, probably. But he hasn't really. I mean, is there any game this season that he's really gone out and kind of won by himself, like an A tier?
If you watch,
I say as an A tier quarterback would, but Goff doesn't do that.
Yeah.
I'd probably put him in. I'm torn between A and B, but that's just me. You said you put him in B.
If you watch the games, he's been a B tier quarterback. I mean, he just has.
So you say you put him in B?
Yeah, and this is definitely off of recency bias. But
I'd probably put him in A.
They're probably going to point out the touchdown that his tight end dropped this past week. Well, my rebuttal to that is look at the score in the bottom prior to that touchdown. The game was already over. I mean, they just at points they don't put enough. I'm not even gonna argue it because the chat's really getting in my head. And I can't do it. I can't do it.
To reference chat, I agree that Watson should be up and Goff should probably be down. I do agree with it. This is
that's just how we did it.
This is a very.
That's just how we did it.
But we can move on, and we'll move on to Mr. Carson Wentz, who just lost his job. So Hurts isn't on here, but we can talk about Hurts right after. I know he's only played one game, but we can talk about that game real quick and where if he were to keep up that path, where he would land on these rankings. So where do you have Wentz at right now?
Certainly, I think if you play your way out of a job, it warrants you going to the F tier. And I know Wentz is the most sacked quarterback at 50 times this whole for the entire season. But he holds the ball for so long that that's why he gets sacked. It's awful watching him. Because he was just out of his depth this season for some reason. It was really weird, but I'm putting him in the F because it was so bad. What do you think, Riley?
Yeah, I agree. He's egregious. I don't know what happened to him. He's just had such a dramatic drop off that it's completely insane. So I think F tier is more than fair. He's gonna have a job in this league for a long time. I mean, he's gonna get paid in this league for a long time. He's got that guaranteed money. But yeah, F tier for sure. Hurts. I know he's only played one game. I put that game probably at the C, B tier. He played a really good defense, so his stats are probably a little bit less than what they usually would be. So probably maybe even a B. But it's only a one game take.
Yeah. All right. Next quarterback, Russell Wilson.
What do you got?
I think he's a C tier quarterback. I really do.
He's just debating, chat. Where do you think Russell Wilson really falls?
S tier.
S tier?
Easily. There's no question. Obviously.
Yeah. I definitely agree. He is top 3 quarterback. I don't even think it's... Well, out of the S tier quarterbacks in general, you probably could be the one you argue the most with.
Yeah, for sure.
Because
for sure.
You got the top 2 of Mahomes and Rodgers, and then that third quarterback, yeah, I think he's in there. But I'm sure you could flip-flop a few answers around for that. But, yeah, I think S tier is more than fair. He's been solid. I mean, some weeks he's been off more than others, but some weeks he's completely dominant. I said this on the podcast earlier.
I mean, for the first half of this, or for the first 6 games or so, he was going to be the MVP. That had I know I see what people say in the chat. It's oh well, he's probably A tier. For a decent bit of the season, he was the best quarterback in the league. So I don't have any problems with putting him S tier because it's not like he's dropped off significantly. I don't think there's been games where he's just been a complete C tier quarterback. So
fair enough.
I mean, yeah.
Okay, so we got one more quarterback on this list. I don't know why he's on it. Jameis Winston, easy S tier, probably the best quarterback in the league. Not really putting him in the injured list. So our distribution actually looks pretty decent. I know there's a lot in the F tier, but there's a lot of shitty quarterbacks in this league, and you have to account that a lot of these quarterbacks are the backups and the starters who started the season. So that's kind of when it looks inflated at the bottom. But just for argument's sake, let's move. If you had to move one quarterback out of the B into the A to kind of give it that better looking distribution, who would it be?
I'll move. So the chat's saying, well, it's mostly BK Randy saying Watson. I'd move Lamar before Watson.
So
I would.
Would it go Lamar, then Watson?
Yeah. Lamar, then Watson, then Tannehill.
Really? I probably would have gone Deshaun,
Yeah.
Lamar, since he has a longer track record, and then probably Kyler. But that's fair enough. So we'll move Lamar up one, kind of give it that more pretty distribution. But yeah, I think this list turned out well. Well, actually, for argument's sake, let's move one quarterback out of F to D to give us that pure distribution kind of look to it.
Okay.
F to D. If you had to move one.
I would say Dalton. Wait, no. No, Cam.
Cam
has at least looked.
I would have definitely put Danny Dimes into D. I think that's probably where he should be in the first place, but you do you. So if chat has any questions real quick, we're going to start wrapping this up here soon. So as we give our little spiel at the end of our episode, we will answer any questions afterwards. Let's get this up and running. I think this is fine. I'm not sure how the lag's handling when it's big, but so yeah, I think this was a success. I'm not sure chat agreed with us on all of our picks or whatnot, but it was fun. It was engaging. It got us to all think about the league a little bit more.
It did. We had to think about all 32 teams in the league.
Right, and starters and backups a lot of the time, so it was good. For those watching in chat, follow us on YouTube. Give us favorites and likes and whatever else. We really appreciate it. We're hoping to have social media up and running here soon. Ring that notification button.
I'm just no, Riley. I'm gonna address the chat. They're saying, "Oh, that was a success," in quotation marks. This was our first. We're doing live reactions to all this. We're trying to make opinions in front of a live audience that we can't interpret their actions, but only through words, not through facial expressions. Thank you guys for tuning into this, because it helps us get better at our jobs. Okay, that it's all a learning process, and you guys are learning as well.
If you were hired by the NFL Network to be an on-air analyst, how long do you think it would take to get fired? Give us 3 days max. I think Kirby's hot takes probably fit right in with what they do. It makes for good headlines. But
that's how it works. You guys are just hating. I don't know why. I mean, we've been all of us apparently have been watching the games. I'll watch stuff on Red Zone occasionally. Please make sure to follow. Don't unfollow, please.
Yeah, let me get if you would love to get on the podcast for once. I asked before, and you said you wouldn't get on.
Yeah, and
I would love to have you on here soon again. This goes beyond just bickering and arguing. We do miss you, our co-host Nicholas. So we hope to have you back on. But we can go ahead and wrap.
Yeah, we invited Nicholas.
We gotta follow.
I sent him an email and I sent him a text to join, and he didn't get in. So, just Nicholas, he should have joined, and then he could have rectified some of our takes.
But
all
right, well, we appreciate you guys. Again, check out our YouTube. Hopefully, we'll have some social media out here soon. Follow us, like us, do whatever. We appreciate you guys all watching, and we'll see you guys here soon. Hopefully, have a rapid react out this Sunday. You got any closing words, Kirby?
Enjoy this weekend, because we have a great weekend of football coming up. College football conference championships, NFL Saturday, a good slate on Sunday, and
what else? Yeah. All right. Thanks for watching.